The jungle was calm again, for the first time in years. The wind carried no scent of death, no humming drones, no whispers of venom. Just the soft rustle of trees, the glow of alien fireflies, and the steady breathing of two survivors. Zira sat quietly on a rock beside a small river. The stars above sparkled like cold diamonds, but her eyes were warm now, no longer hunting, no longer hiding. Jace walked up behind her, holding a small wrapped object in his hand. She turned, raising an eyebrow. "What's that?" T smiled. "A gift." Zero hesitated. She had never received a gift before, not one without conditions or chains. She slowly unwrapped it. Inside was a simple necklace, an earth-made pendant carved from wood. On it, a single symbol, the ancient earth sign for fire. "I thought it fit you," Jay said. "You burn bright, and you changed everything." Zira traced the shape with her fingers. "It's beautiful. It's not much," he said, shrugging. "It's everything," she replied softly. They sat side by side. The silence between them wasn't heavy now, was full of meaning, full of memory. Finally, Zero spoke. "When I was locked in that cage, I used to dream of freedom, but I never imagined I'd have someone beside me when I found it." Jace chuckled. "I didn't imagine getting bitten by a girl and surviving." She smirked. "You humans are tougher than you look. You alien girls are softer than you pretend," he shot back. She looked at him reality. "Looked. Do you still feel the venom in you?" He shook his head. "No, but I feel something stronger." Zero raised an eyebrow again. "Like what?" He hesitated, and spoke honestly. "Connection. Trust. Maybe even." She leaned in, waiting. "Love," he finished. Zero didn't laugh. She didn't joke. Instead, she whispered, "I never thought love was for someone like me." Jace gently took her hand. "What?" "Because they told you you were less. Casio. Zero. Not the fangs. Not the past. You and I love all of you." For a moment, her eyes glistened. Not from pain, from something deeper. "I don't know how to be in love," she admitted. "But I want to learn." Jace squeezed her hand. "That's all it takes." Suddenly, a soft beeping came from his wrist console. "What is it?" Zero asked. "A signal," he replied. "A ship nearby, human colony transport, stocking for evac and resupply." Zero's eyes widened. "We could leave this planet." Jace nodded. "Start somewhere new. Somewhere where you're not Z-33. You're just Zira." She stood slowly, her golden skin shining under the moonlight. "Do you think they'll accept someone like me?" "Don't care if they don't," Jace said. "Because I do." She laughed quietly. "Then let's go." But just before they walked off, Zero turned back to the jungle, her old cage far behind the trees, now forgotten and rusting. "Do you regret finding me?" she asked suddenly. Jace smiled. "No, I think finding you saved me more than I saved you." She nodded slowly. Then, as the ship's shuttle descended in the distance, Zero reached for her mouth, her fangs, and gently pressed her fingers to them. "I don't want these anymore," she whispered. JSC looked at her. "You don't have to get rid of them?" "I know," she said, "but they were forced into me. And now I choose who I want to be." He understood. They boarded the shuttle side by side. The pilot, a surprised young woman, blinked when she saw Zira's strange eyes and golden skin. "Is she with you, Kay?" the pilot asked Jace. "She's with herself," Jace replied. "And yes, she's with me too." The doors closed behind them as the shuttle rose into the stars. Zira looked down at the jungle one last time, and she smiled. Because she was no longer someone's experiment. No longer someone's weapon. She was Zira, and she had chosen love. The sky trembled as the Vorax carrier ship descended through the clouds like a steel god. Inside the cave, Zero watched it in silence. Her glowing yellow eyes reflected the burning lights from the enemy ship. Jace stood behind her, adjusting. The energy core in his blaster, but his eyes were on her. "You don't have to do this," he said softly. Zero didn't turn. "They're not coming for you, Jace. They're coming for me." "I know," he replied. "But they'll have to go through me, too." For a moment, there was only the soft dripping of cave water. Then Zero spoke again, this time quieter, more distant. "I used to believe I was born to kill. They told me I had no soul. Only poison. Only orders." She looked down at her hands, flexing her golden fingers. "I believed them." Jay stepped closer, and now she finally turned to face him. "Now, I don't know what I am, but I know I don't want to be their weapon anymore." He smiled. "That's a good start." The ground shook. A smaller ship launched from the carrier, landing nearby with a hiss. Dozens of Vorax troopers poured out, their boots pounding the earth. "We have to move," Jay said. Zero nodded. "No more running, but I'm not fighting them their way." Jace blinked. "Then how?" Zero didn't answer with words. Instead, she turned and walked deeper into the cave toward something ancient. There, in the back, stood a locked metallic door covered in moss and alien symbols. Zero placed her hand on it. The door shimmered, then opened with a slow hiss. Jace stared. "What is this?" "A lab," she said. "The first one, the one where I was made." The room was dark, cold, filled with cracked screens, shattered glass, and long-dead machines. But one console still flickered, barely alive. Zero moved to it and touched the panel. The screen lit up. Recording began to play. An alien scientist, with silver skin and emotionless eyes, appeared. His voice echoed through the cave. "Project C-33 was a success. Her bite is perfect, painful, immediate, unstoppable." Zira's jaw tightened. She is not to be treated as sentient. She is code and poison wrapped in flesh. Use her, dispose if malfunctioning. Jace growled. "They built you like a tool." Zira stepped back, breathing hard. "No, they tried to erase me, but they failed." She turned to Jace. "Help me, please. I want it gone." He didn't ask what she meant. He walked to the side panel and began pulling out the venom control module, embedded in the console. Sparks flew. Systems failed. The screen went dark. Zero placed her hand on her chest. "The control link is broken. They can't track me anymore." And just like that, she was free. For the first time, completely free. But freedom had a cost. Outside, the Vorax commander shouted through a megaphone. "Z-33, you are surrounded. Surrender now, and we will spare the human. Resist, and we erase you both." Jace raised his blaster. "Guess it's time for your new self to meet your old enemies." Zero walked to the cave entrance, her eyes no longer glowing with rage, but with clarity. She stepped out slowly. Confidently, the troopers aimed their weapons. The commander, tall and cold, stared at her. "You should not be alive." "I shouldn't," she replied, "but I choose to be." The troopers fired, but Zira didn't attack. Instead, she raised her hands, and the cave exploded not from bombs, but from ancient energy. The lab had one last trick-old defense system triggered by her DNA. A wave of pure EMP flooded the clearing, disabling every weapon in seconds. The troopers froze. Stunned, JAC walked out beside her. "Calm. You underestimated her," he said to the commander. The commander lunged at Zira with a blade, but she caught his wrist. "No bite," she said calmly. "Just choice." And then she knocked him out cold with a single punch. The other troopers dropped there. Weapons she had defeated them without killing, without venom, without being a weapon. Jace turned to her, smiling. You did it. She looked up at the stars. No, we did. The battlefield was silent now. The troopers had been defeated without blood, without venom. The lab's ancient defense systems had collapsed into dust, and Zira stood at the center of it all, not as a weapon, but as someone who had finally chosen who she wanted to be. Jace walked beside her, bruised but breathing, his eyes full of quiet pride. That was impressive, he said. Zira didn't smile. Her eyes were fixed on the sky. They're not done. Yet, she said as if the stars heard her, the clouds above split open with a deafening roar. A sleek black shuttle broke through, descending fast. But this one was different, larger, quieter, more refined. This wasn't a troop ship. This was a command. Vessel, the creators were coming. Zira's body stiffened. Jace reached for her hand. You don't have to face them alone. I do, she replied. They built me. Now they'll see what I've become. The shuttle landed with eerie silence. The ramp lowered, releasing a white mist that rolled over the jungle floor like smoke. Out of it stepped a tall figure in a silver-white cloak. His face was smooth, unnaturally perfect, with no hair, no emotion. A scientist, a Verex high geneticist. Zira knew him. Subject Z-33, he said coldly. You've exceeded containment protocols. She said nothing. You were created for efficient elimination, he continued. But your hesitation, your deviation, these are malfunctions. You are compromised. Termination is now required. Jace raised his blaster, stepping forward. You'll have to go through me. The scientist didn't even blink. We expected. Your attachment. Humans are primitive creatures, ruled by sentiment, easily manipulated. Zira took a slow step forward. I'm not your subject, she said, her voice sharp. I have a name, Zira. The scientist tilted his head, mildly curious. A designation is not identity. It is when I choose it, she snapped. A second figure stepped out of the mist, a female scientist, her face similar to Zira's. More aged, more calculating. Her voice was like frozen glass. I carried your embryo in a lab tank, she said. I coded your venom. You were not born, Zira. You were assembled. There is no soul in you, only sequence. Once believed that, she said, but then I met someone who didn't run when I bit him. Someone who didn't see a monster. Jace stepped beside her. She's not your property. She's not your experiment. She's free. The male scientist raised a small device, cold, metallic, glowing red. This will end her mutations. Clean neural wipe. She'll be unconscious in seconds. No pain. Zira stared at the device and stepped forward. No. Jace grabbed her arm, his voice panicked. But Zira shook her head. Let me. She walked until she stood just meters from the scientist. If you truly believe I'm just code, she said, then you won't fear what comes next. She took a deep breath and lowered her fangs. For a moment, the scientists stepped back, startled, even afraid. I could bite you right now, Zira whispered. But I won't, because I'm not the creature you made. She raised her hand, then pressed the shutdown device against her own chest. Jace shouted, Zero, no. The device beeped and blinked green dot. Then it exploded in a surge of static sparks. Flu.Zera stood tall, unharmed. I reprogrammed that model in the lab last night, she said calmly. Before your troopers arrived, the scientists froze. I learned from you, she continued. I watched. I studied. And I adapted. Isn't that what you wanted? Evolution? Jace stepped forward, aiming his blaster. Leave, or the next. Things she rewires will be your bones. The female scientist's eyes narrowed. You're a mistake. No, Zero said, stepping beside Jace. I'm a miracle you don't deserve to control. The creators exchanged a silent glance. Then, without a word, they turned and walked back into the shuttle. The ramp lifted. The engines roared. And just like that, they were gone. Zero stood still for a long time, breathing slowly. They'll be back, she whispered. Let them, Jace said, touching her shoulder. Next time, we won't just be ready. Be waiting. Zero looked at him, really looked tanned for the first time. There was no rage in her eyes, only peace. The jungle didn't breathe anymore. Birds vanished. Insects grew silent, and the air became heavy, thick with danger. Zero crouched behind the thick trunk of a fallen tree, her golden skin nearly blending into the glowing moss. Her sharp eyes scanned the forest shadows. Beside her, Jace held his blaster tight, his finger hovering just near the trigger, but he didn't fire. Yet, they're close, Zero whispered. I can smell them. Jace turned to her. You mean other aliens? Zero gave a slow nod. Yes, my creators. The ones who made me. I recognize their scent chemical, cold, unnatural. They always used gas to control me. She touched the scars on her neck. They'll come with weapons. Not to talk, only to capture or kill. Jace looked around. How many? 3, maybe 4, she said, sniffing the air. Hunters, they move like ghosts. Jace sighed. I hate ghosts. Suddenly, a low humming sound began from above. A drone, small, metallic, with red eyes, flew past the treetops. Zero's eyes widened. She grabbed Jace's arm and yanked him down just as a red scanner beam swept through the air. They're scanning. She said sharply, if it catches your heat signature, it'll alert the others. Without thinking, Jace pulled a small cloaking cloth from his pack and wrapped it around them both. It was just big enough to cover their bodies if they stayed close, very close. Zero stiffened. His chest was against hers, and his heart was pounding fast. You're shaking, she whispered. It's not fear. Jace whispered back. It's instinct. I don't like being hunted. Zero stared into his eyes. She could smell his blood, again the same blood she had bitten. He still smelled. Alive, not dying, not poisoned. Human, and somehow. Comforting, the drone passed overhead. Silence returned. Jace slowly removed the cloth. We move now. Quietly, Zero led the way this time. She moved like a shadow, soft, fast, and smooth. Her bare feet didn't make a sound on the moss. Jace followed, watching her, realizing how much of her power came not just from her venom, but from the way she survived everything thrown at her. Suddenly, a voice echoed through the forest, mechanical, cold, in her. Language, subject Z33. You are property of the Vurex lab. Surrender, return for reprocessing. The human will be eliminated. Zero froze. It was them. She turned to Jace. Her voice was low and urgent. They will kill you. You must leave me. No, Jace said firmly. I am not worth it. You are. Before she could argue again, something struck the ground near them, a bolt of plasma. It exploded, sending mud and steam flying. They found us. Jace shouted, pulling Zero behind a tree. Another bolt came. Then another. Leaves burned. Smoke filled the air. From the shadows, 3 tall alien hunters appeared. Their armor was sleek and black, their faces hidden behind masks. Each carried a rifle designed for one purpose: capture. One of them raised his hand and pointed straight at 0Z33. Return now. Your venom is valuable. Your mind is not. Jace's eyes burned with fury. She's not your tool. Before they could respond, Zira stepped forward. I'm not your weapon anymore, she yelled. The lead hunter raised his rifle, but Jace moved first. He fired once, twice burning holes into the hunter's armor. The alien fell back, stunned. Zera charged at the second hunter. She didn't bite. She didn't use her fangs. She fought with her fists, with speed and rage, slamming him into a tree. He dropped his weapon. The third one lunged at her from behind, but Jace tackled him midair. They rolled on the ground, punching, clawing, then the hunter tried to inject Jace with a poison needle, but Zero grabbed his arm and snapped it clean. Her golden eyes were blazing. She could have bitten him, but she didn't. She threw the alien into a tree, hard. The forest was quiet. Again, all three hunters were down. Jace panted. That was insane. Zero looked at him, her hands trembling. I didn't bite. I didn't use my venom. You didn't need to, Jace said with a smile. You're stronger than you know. Zero looked at her hands. Maybe I'm changing. Jace nodded. Maybe you're becoming who you were always meant to be. She looked at him, her eyes soft. You didn't run. You stayed. I told you, he said. Your chains were never just metal. They were lies. I'm here to break all of them. And with that, they ran into the jungle again, not as prisoner and savior, but as allies. Maybe even as something more. But far above them, in the black sky, a larger ship was already on its way. And this time, the creators weren't coming to capture, they were coming to erase their mistake. The rain fell hard. Thunder rolled across the jungle. Sky as Zira and Jace ran through the thick undergrowth, soaked and breathless. Behind them, smoke still rose from the bodies of the fallen hunters. But Zero knew more would come. Stronger, smarter. And this time, they wouldn't just try to capture her. They'd come to erase her. Up ahead, Jace shouted, pointing toward a cave hidden between massive roots of an ancient tree. We rest there. Zira nodded, her silver-white hair plastered to her glowing golden skin. She was tired, but not afraid. Not with him. They reached the cave just as lightning lit the jungle behind them. Inside, it was damp but dry enough to breathe. They collapsed against the cold stone, heartbeats pounding. Jace tried to speak, but instead coughed hard. Zera turned, concerned. Are you okay? He nodded weakly. Just tired. Inhaled some gas from that needle strike. She narrowed her eyes. The one the hunter tried to stab you with? Yeah, might have scraped me. Zira crawled closer and pulled up his sleeve. Her eyes widened. Purple veins were crawling up his arm. Fast. That's not normal. He muttered. No, it's venom, Zira said, her voice shaking. Not mine. Theirs lab-made, designed to paralyze known aliens within minutes. Jace tried to sit up, but fell back. His breath came in short, painful gasps. How bad? You don't have minutes, she said, panic rising. Zira looked around, searching her mind, her memories. Nothing would work. No antidote, no jungle. Root, no human medicine, except one thing. One crazy, dangerous thing. Her own venom. Jace blinked. Zira. She looked at him, face pale. There's one chance. Maybe. My venom doesn't kill humans. Not you, at least. It might fight the lab venom. He forced a smile. So you're saying, bite me again. She hesitated. It's risky. It could kill you. Or heal you. Or do nothing. Jace chuckled. Well, nothing's boring. Let's try not dying. Her hands trembled as she leaned over him. I'm scared, she admitted. I trust you, he whispered. Her fangs slid down, sharp, shining. This time, not out of rage, not defense, but hope. She gently bit his neck, just enough to let her venom flow into his blood. His body jerked. His back arched. She held him tightly, whispering, "Please, live." For a few moments, he went completely still. "No," she gasped, her voice cracking. "No, no." Then suddenly he coughed. His eyes opened. He gasped, sucking in air like a drowning man. Zira froze. "You okay?" she asked. He blinked. "I feel awful, but not dead." She burst into laughter. Then tears. Then both at the same time. "You idiot," she whispered. "You're the one who bit me." He smirked. He sat up slowly. The purple in his veins faded, replaced by warmth. Zero stared at her hands again. "I healed you. You saved me." She nodded slowly. "I've only known my bite to kill, but now, maybe I can use it to protect." They rested for a while, wrapped in the quiet drip of cave rain. But the silence didn't last long. A rumble came from the sky, a massive ship carrier class. Vorak's signature broke through the clouds, its engines roaring. Zero stood, staring at it through the vines. "They're here," she said. Jace followed her gaze. "Then we don't run this time." She looked at him in shock. "You want to fight?" "I want to finish this," he replied. "But not just with blasters." Zero tilted her head. "Then how?" He grinned. "We make them afraid." The jungle was silent. Birds did not sing. Beasts did not roar. Even the wind seemed to hold its breath. In the center of this strange silence, deep inside the alien forest of Vornix 6, there was a small metal cage hidden beneath fallen trees, and thick vines dot inside it sat her. She was not ordinary. Her golden skin glowed under the sunlight, and her silver-white hair flowed down her back like a river of light. Her glowing yellow eyes were fixed on the jungle path, sharp and alert like a predator. But her lips did not smile. They trembled slightly, revealing long white fangs that could kill with just one bite. They called her a monster. They said her bite was death. No one ever returned from her cage. Oh, no alien dared go near her. Even her own kind had abandoned her. Long ago, until today, a sound broke the silence. Footsteps. Slow, heavy human footsteps. Jasek Randall, a human explorer, stepped into the clearing. His black boots crushed the dry leaves underfoot. His face was tired, covered in dust, and his armored chestplate had deep scratches from the jungle beasts. He carried only a bag, a scanner, and a bottle of water. He stopped when he saw her. The girl didn't move. Her claws curled around the metal bars. She expected him to scream, to run, to call her a freak. But Jace didn't do any of that. He tilted. His head studied her face and said calmly, "You look thirsty." The alien girl blinked. No one had ever said that to her. Not in years. She opened her mouth to growl, but before she could speak, Jace tossed the water bottle gently through the bars. It rolled across the floor and stopped near her foot. "I'm not here to hurt you," he added, his voice low and steady. "I heard rumors. A girl with a bite so deadly that no alien can survive. But I'm not an alien." She picked up the bottle slowly. Her fingers shook. She sniffed the cap like an animal. Her lips were cracked. Still, she didn't drink. "You're not scared?" she finally asked. Her voice was soft, rough like it hadn't been used in a long time. "No," he said. "You should be." She lunged at the bars, grabbed his chest plate with sudden strength, and sank her fangs into his shoulder. Jace didn't resist. For a second, everything froze. Then, nothing happened. The girl pulled back, eyes wide in disbelief. Her fangs were still. Bloody from the bite, but Jace was standing, breathing, not even flinching. His face twisted only slightly from the sting. She staggered back, more shocked than he was. "Why?" she whispered. "Why didn't you die?" Jace touched the bite mark. It burned, but he was still alive. "I guess human blood isn't on your kill list." She stared at him like he was a ghost. He smiled weakly. "So, what's your name?" She didn't answer. Jace knelt beside the cage. "Look, I know what they've done to you. They made you a weapon. But I'm not afraid of you. I don't see a monster. I see someone who's been locked away too long." She slowly sat down again, staring at him. "Zira," she said at last. "My name is Zira." Jace nodded. "I'm Jace." For a while, there was silence. Then Zira opened the water bottle and drank. Not in one gulp, but slowly, carefully, like someone tasting life again. "You should go," she said after a long pause. "Others will come. They'll hurt you. They'll try," Jace said. "But I'm not leaving you here." Her eyes narrowed. "Why?" He took a deep breath. "Because I think you deserve better. And I think you're not the monster they say you are." Zero turned away, but he saw at the tear that slid down her golden cheek. She didn't answer. But she didn't attack again either. As night fell over the jungle, the humans sat outside the cage, keeping watch. The girl inside did not sleep. Her glowing eyes stayed open, fixed on the man who didn't die, for the first time in years. She wasn't alone, and somewhere deep inside, something changed. Morning light broke through the thick canopy of the alien jungle. The golden girl. Zira sat quietly inside her cage. Outside, the human named Jace was still there. He hadn't left during the night. He had kept guard, like a protector, or maybe like a friend. Zero didn't understand him. No one had ever stayed. He was bitten, but he didn't die. That alone should have made him run. But Jace was strange different. He had offered her water. He spoke to her with kindness. He saw her, not as a killer, but as someone who could be saved, as the sun climbed higher. Jace stretched and stood up. "Good morning," he said, with a yawn. Zira said nothing. Her eyes followed his every move. Jace took out a small tool from his pack. It was a scanner old tech, scratched but still working. "Let me see your arm," he said. Zira frowned. "Why?" "I want to understand what they did to you." "I can help." She hesitated, but slowly extended her arm through the bars. The scanner beeped and hummed. A green light moved over her skin. Jace's face grew serious. "They inserted something near your glands. Synthetic venom sacs," he said quietly. "You weren't born with them. They forced this into your body." Zero looked away. "I know. They made me a weapon, a tool for their war. And when I became too dangerous, they locked me up." Clenched his jaw. "That's not your fault." "They said my bite was perfect," she said, her voice bitter. "Even touching my saliva can kill. I was just 12 when I bit my first target." He died screaming. Her fingers trembled. "After that, I stopped talking. Stopped touching anyone. They kept me in chains, like a beast." Jace lowered the scanner. "You're not a beast." She smiled, but it was a broken smile. "You say that because you're still alive." "No," he said softly. "I say that because even now, you haven't bitten me again." Zero looked at her hands. "I wanted to. When you first arrived, I wanted to kill you before you hurt me. But something inside me stopped. It felt wrong." Jace nodded. "That part of you, the one that still feels, still chooses, that's the real you. Not the venom, not the fangs." She didn't speak. Jace stood up and walked around the cage. He knelt beside the back panel and pulled out another tula. "Small laser cutter. What are you doing?" Zira asked quickly, getting you out." "No," she hissed. "If they find me free, they'll kill me." "And you too. I don't care," Jace replied. "No one deserves to live like this." He began to cut through the lock. Zero backed into the corner. Her heart raced. Was this real? After all these years, someone was opening her cage, not to harm her, but to free her. She was terrified. The metal sizzled. Sparks flew. After a few tense minutes, the lock snapped off. The cage door creaked open. Zira stared at the open door. She didn't move. Jace extended his hand. "Come on," he said gently. "You're not alone anymore." She didn't take his hand, but she stepped forward, slowly. As if walking through a dream, her foot touched the earth. Outside the cage, it was the first time in 6 years. The jungle smelled different, freer, cleaner. The light felt warmer on her skin. The wind didn't sound like chains anymore. Zira stood beside Jace, breathing deeply. "You okay?" he asked. She nodded. "I think so." Jace smiled. "Let's get out of here before someone finds." U.S. They walked carefully through the dense forest, staying hidden. Zira moved like a shadow, silent and quick. Jace kept glancing at her, still amazed she hadn't tried to bite again. But she didn't want to. She didn't want to be that creature anymore. They stopped near a fallen tree to rest. Jace opened a ration pack and handed her a piece of dried fruit. Zira sniffed it, then took a small bite. "It's sweet," she said, surprised. "Earth fruit," Jace said proudly. "Called mango." Zira took another bite. She smiled, real one this time. Then, suddenly, her ears twitched. She turned sharply. Jace noticed too. "What is it?" "Footsteps," she whispered. "Not human, not alone." Jace reached for his blaster. Zira's eyes narrowed. "They found us."